Columbia Broadcasting System presents a new comedy.
My Friend Irma.
Starring Marie Wilson as Irma and Kathy Lewis as Jane, with John Brown as Al.
Friendship, friendship, just a perfect friendship. When other friendships have been forgot, theirs will still be hot. La 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 la.
Sure, it's something to sing about. And they can sing about it maybe because they haven't any friends. But I'm singing the blues about it because I've got a friend. My friend Irma.
Wild Bill Hickok, Wild Bill Hickok, ride on. When Wild Bill Hickok rode the plains, a shoe man was he. Many bad, many got, he never missed his last rosary. Ride on, Wild Bill Hickok. Ride on, Wild Bill. When Wild Bill guided the settlers west, he made those wagons roll over hills and plains. He led the wagon train through the gold. Ride on, Wild Bill Hickok. Ride on, Wild Bill. Wild Bill Hickok. Wild Bill Hickok. Ride on.
Well, it's hi, hey, hello again, and here we go again. Come on in the house, 'cause it's time for the party with
Big John.
and Sparky, 'cause it's Saturday and there's no school today.
The Amazing Adventures of Flash Gordon. Grove's Emulsified Nose Drops bring to your radios the new interplanetary adventures of Flash Gordon. It is the same daring and resourceful Flash Gordon whose spectacular exploits have held you spellbound in your newspapers. And now through your loudspeakers every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at this same time, travel with Flash Gordon, Dale Arden, and Dr. Zarkov to the lost continent of Atlantis on the ocean's floor.
Presenting Orson Welles as the Third Man. The Lives of Harry Lime. The fabulous stories of the immortal character originally created in the motion picture The Third Man, with zither music by Anton Karas.
Presenting Mandrake the Magician. It is late afternoon, and we find Mandrake, just returned from abroad, seated before the fireplace in the library of his home, the house of mystery and many secrets. The giant Lothar stands silently regarding Mandrake, whose eyes are fixed dreamily on the dancing tongues of flame. Listen.
Let's have fun with Helen Morgan, glamorous star of Ziegfeld Showboat, with Ken Murray, comedy star of Earl Carroll's Sketchbook, with Romney Brent, star of The First Little Show. Let's have fun with a brand new type of radio entertainment. Each week at this time, you'll hear an original musical comedy with music by Richard Rodgers, lyrics by Lawrence Hart, story by Peter Dixon. Each week, after the show, you will join Lois Long for 30 minutes of dancing, gaiety, and entertainment. Listen to the sparkling new songs of Rodgers and Hart. Laugh at the predicament of a Broadway crooner in the clutches of Cleopatra. Thrill to the voices of the King's Men and the Queen's Maids. Dance to the rhythms of Freddie Rich and his 40-piece orchestra. 1 full hour of a brand new type of entertainment. Let's have fun.
Lights out, everybody. It is later than you think. Lights Out brings you stories of the supernatural and the supernormal, dramatizing the fantasies and the mysteries of the unknown. We tell you this frankly, so if you wish to avoid the excitement and tension of these imaginative plays, we urge you calmly but sincerely to turn off your radio now.
This is Arch Oboler. Tonight for Ironized Yeast, one of those chilling stories so many of you like. Its title, Murder Castle.
For the past 23 years, Frank Willard's famous comic strip character, Moon Mullins, has brought entertainment to millions of people. Tonight, Moon and his little brother K.O., Uncle Willie and Mamie, Lord Plushbottom and his wife Emmy are here to entertain you in person. As knife clatters against fork, as spoon rattles in cup, as upper plate clicks against lower plate, we take you to the charming domestic atmosphere of breakfast time at the Plushbottom boarding house.
Mystery in the Air, starring Peter Lorre, presented by Camel Cigarettes. Each week at this time, Camel Cigarettes bring you Peter Lorre and the excitement of the great stories of the strange and unusual, of dark and compelling masterpieces culled from the four corners of world literature. Tonight, The Mask of Medusa by Nelson Bond.
Mystery in the Air, starring Peter Lorre, brought to you by Camel Cigarettes.
Top This, presented by the Colgate Palmolive Feet Company, makers of Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth, and Palmolive Shave Creams for smoother, more comfortable shave. Can you top this? Starring Senator Ford.
Good evening.
Harry Hirschfield.
Howdy.
And Joe Laurie Jr.
Hello.
And now here's Colgate Palmolive Feet Company's Master of Ceremonies, Ward Wilson.
Good evening, friends. Welcome to Can You Top This, our unrehearsed carousel of chokes. Our three wits do not know what jokes have been chosen until the people's representative, Peter Donald, tells them on the air. Our three gagsters have no scripts. They rely on memory and ability to switch jokes and make them fit the subject. If Peter Donald tells your submitted story, you get $10 plus a phonograph record, personally autographed by our wits, of Peter Donald telling your story on the air. Laughs are registered on the big Colgate-Palmolive laugh meter in full view of the studio audience. Each time the wits fail to top your score, you win an additional $5, which means you may win $25. So, yes, get on with the laughs. Are you ready over there, fellas?
Ready. I guess so.
All right, here's our first joke of the evening, and it comes from Mrs. Floyd Triplett of West Jefferson, North Carolina. It's on the subject of indignation.
The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, starring Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce. The makers of Grove's Bromo-Quinine tablets bring you another adventure of Sherlock Holmes with Basil Rathbone as Sherlock Holmes and Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson. And now, here we are again on our usual visit to Dr. Watson. He's waiting for us in his study, a cheerful blaze crackling on the hearth.
I'm very relieved to see you, Mr. Manning. Hasn't the weather been atrocious today? I was beginning to wonder if you'd be able to get here tonight through all this fog.
Yes, it certainly is what you Londoners call a regular pea super.
Yes, indeed.
And now, Dick Tracy.
This is Dick Tracy on the case of the broken window. Stand by for action. Let's go, men. Yes, it's Dick Tracy, protector of law and order.
It's 8:30.
It's 8:30, New York time. Time to wake up, America, and stump the experts. Each week at this time, Lucky Strike invites you to a nationwide quiz and conversation party. Here's how it goes. You furnish the questions, and our experts try to answer them. For every question used, Lucky Strike will reward you with $10 in defense stamps. If the question is muffed, you get a total of a $50 defense bond plus the 24-volume set of the Encyclopedia Britannica. Send your questions to Information Please, 480 Lexington Avenue, New York City. If our editorial staff edits your questions a bit, don't fret over it. In case of similarity, we'll have to be sole judge of who shall be paid. And all questions become the property of Information Please. And now light up a Lucky Strike as I present our Master of Ceremonies, book reviewer of the New Yorker magazine, Clifton Fadiman. Mr. Fadiman.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, Information Please, as always, is completely unprepared and unrehearsed. Our panel of experts includes our three regulars, Franklin P. Adams, Oscar Levant, and John Kieran. And as our guest of honor, the famous author Emil Ludwig, whose recent book, Bolivar, has been highly praised. Now we're going to begin with a question from R. Kessler Searles of Mount Vernon, New York.
Coca-Cola presents The Spike Jones Show with Spike and the City Slickers, including Doodles Weavers, Professor Fiedlebaum, George Rock, Dick and Freddie Morgan, Sir Frederick Gass, Jack Dolly, Dr. Horatio Q. Birdbath, and our special guest, Don Amici. Tonight we're broadcasting transcribed from San Francisco. And now, here are Spike Jones and the City Slickers.
The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Lacey, did you see where my niece got engaged last week?
Oh, is her name Princess Elizabeth?
No, her name's Jane.
Then I didn't see it.
How do you like that? If you're not royalty, no one knows what happens to you.
You don't have to be royalty, Ethelbert. You just got to be famous.
Sure, like Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole, our adventure for tonight, Self-Made Hero.
Kraft Foods Company, makers of Kraft Quality Foods, presents Harold Perry as the Great Gildersleeve.
Mr. and Mrs. North, transcribed, starring Richard Denning and Barbara Britton. Listen as Pam and Jerry solve the mystery, Operation Murder.
It's Adventure Time with Awesome Annie.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's that renowned genius who is the bulkiest, balkiest, most ponderous, and most brilliant detective in the world. Yes, none other than that chair-borne mass of unpredictable intellect, Nero Wolfe, created by Rex Stout and brought to you in a new series of adventures over this NBC network in the person of Mr. Sidney Greenstreet.
It's classroom time for all you men and women in the armed forces of the United Nations. Time for a rebroadcast of the College of Musical Knowledge. And here's the old professor himself, Kay Kaiser.
Well, evening, folks. How are y'all? You're great, mate. Well, I'll say you're great. And you know, we feel great, too, because we're at one of Uncle Sam's largest bases. We're in one of the largest hangars in the whole world. And in 7 years of class sessions, tonight's is our largest student body. We're at the United States Naval Air Station at Alameda, near San Francisco. San Francisco. There's a town you can get your teeth into. That reminds me. Hey, that reminds me. I'm just like San Francisco. I got a couple of bridges that aren't paid for.
Goodyear presents The Roy Rogers Show. Friends, tonight, as usual, Goodyear brings you Roy Rogers,
But because of the great news we've all been hearing, we want you to know that we will interrupt this program instantly for any late news flashes. Meanwhile, you'll hear Bob Nolan and the Sons of the Pioneers, Pat Friday, the Farr Brothers, Perry Botkin's Orchestra. Goodyear's guest tonight, motion picture villain Porter Hall. And now, the greatest name in rubber, Goodyear, invites you to meet America's greatest Western star, Roy Rogers.
I've got a locket in my pocket, a plain golden locket. Got a locket in my pocket, right next to my heart. I've got a picture in this locket, the locket in my pocket.
With book and pipe. From the writings of the world's most famous authors, here is the man with book and pipe, bringing you masterpieces of literature, stories of mystery, romance, adventure.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the man with the book and pipe. No illness is more fatal than a troubled conscience. They say murder will out. Truth cannot be hidden long. Such was the case in the story we present this evening, Edgar Allan Poe's Telltale Heart.
From Hollywood, Pabst Blue Ribbon, finest beers served anywhere, proudly presents Screen Directors Playhouse, production Casbah, director John Barry, stars Tony Martin, Marta Toran. The Hollywood Screen Directors present a romance on the edge of danger. The musical adventure, Casbah, starring Tony Martin and Marta Toran, and introduced by the director of the film, Mr. John Barry.
Has anybody got a match? Thanks. Now I can light an old gold and listen to The Sad Sack. Out of the pages of Yank, the Army Weekly, comes the hero of World War II, the beloved and eternal buck private created by George Baker. Old Gold, the cigarette that does more to give you more. Old Gold is proud to present The Sad Sack. The warrior returns, the conqueror comes home. Yes, the Sad Sack has just been discharged from the Army. Let's follow him as he walks up the front steps of the boarding house he left 4 long years ago. One thought burns in his brain as it has in every soldier's, to get into a civilian suit and to see his girl.
Magic Detective, starring the world's greatest living magician, Blackstone. He tells you the inside story of the Cellini statuette. And right after the story, Blackstone will explain tricks that you yourself can perform, reveal the guarded secrets of the world's greatest living magician.
Nicky, darling, that's not it.
It isn't, Nora?
No, it goes like this. 33 fine brews blended into one great beer.
Pabst Blue Ribbon Beer presents The New Adventures of the Thin Man with Nick and Nora Charles, the happiest, merriest married couple in radio. Tonight and every Tuesday night at this same time, that international favorite Pabst Blue Ribbon Beer proudly presents the finest in summertime entertainment. So sit back, relax, and pour yourself a tall, foaming glass full of blended, splendid Pabst Blue Ribbon. While you listen to the stars of our show, Claudia Morgan as Nora and Les Tremaine as Nick, in tonight's adventure of the Thin Man, entitled The Adventure of the Passionate Palooka.
Can a woman learn about a man just by dancing with him?
If she can, she'll win herself a big prize because this is
People Are Funny.
Yes, NBC presents John Goodell's production of People Are Funny, transcribed from Hollywood. And now here's America's top master of ceremonies, Art Linkletter.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the easiest tricks of all to prove is that people are funny about money.
Lucky Strike presents Your Hit Parade with Axel Stordahl, the Lucky Strike Orchestra, Beryl Davis, Ken Lane and the Hit Paraders, and starring Frank Sinatra.
Come on in and meet the Ruggles, starring Charlie Ruggles. They're your neighbors and mine. There's Charlie, his wife Margaret, and the children, Sharon, 18, Chuck, 16, and the twins, Donna and Donald. They're 9. They live just down the block from you and across the street from me. Let's see what's happening to them today.
Here's Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, private detective.
My name's Diamond, and I'm in business for a very simple reason. I like money.
If you succeed, you'll get no thanks. If you fail, you'll get no help.
I do solemnly swear that I will defend the United States against all its enemies whomsoever. And I further swear that I will never reveal to any living person any information I may acquire in the service of American counter-espionage. So help me God.
That's quite an oath. And with it a man binds himself to the loneliest service on earth. The service of counter-espionage. What follows is pure fiction. It has to be. But it is intended as a long overdue tribute to all the lonely men and women who have laid down their lives that you and I may enjoy the American way of life. The men and women who have protected America from her most deadly enemy, the foreign spy. The men and women who bear the title of Security Agent, USA.
That's my pop.
CBS presents That's My Pop, written by Milt Rose, Hugh Wedlock, and Howard Snyder. Based on the famous comic strip by Milt Rose and starring Raymond Walburn. Now for another episode in the life of J. Gaylord Ginch, known to his intimates as Pop, that leisurely, lovable character who more or less has been out of work for the past 20 years, but refuses to let failure go to his head. When asked the secret of his lack of success, he modestly leaned on his pool cue and said, "Never put off till tomorrow what you can put off today."
Colgate, Colgate presents Bill Stern with the Colgate Shave Cream Sports Newsreel. Bill Stern, the Colgate Shave Cream Man, is on the air. Bill Stern, the Colgate Shave Cream Man, with stories rare. Take his advice and you look keen. You'll get a shave that's smooth and clean. You'll be a Colgate brushless fan.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bill Stern bringing you the 316th edition of the Colgate Sports Newsreel. We're broadcasting tonight from the city of Indianapolis. And our guest tonight is the one and only Frank Sinatra. But first...
The Brighter Day, brought to you by Drift, America's favorite brand for dishes.
It's only the barest little room, isn't it? I don't know why, but I feel somehow that God is in this room.
From Radio City in New York, here is the Milton Berle Show with Bert Kelton, Jack Albertson, Johnny Gibson, Mary Shipp, Billy Sands, Charlie Irving, our singing star Dick Farney, the music of Ray Bloch and his orchestra, and yours truly, Frank Gallup.
Superstition on the air.
The Colgate Ask It Basket, on the air with Jim McWilliams, radio's original question and answer man. Jim has picked 4 contestants from the volunteers in the audience. They're all raring to go. Well, now let's see. They are a sailor, a student, a stenographer, and a department store buyer. And they're all competing in this friendly and amusing contest for 3 cash prizes and answering questions that come from your hometown and mine. And here he comes, genial Jim McWilliams.
Nash, builder of Nash Motor Cars. Kelvinator, builders of Kelvinator Home Appliances. Nash Kelvinator, one of America's great independent companies, welcomes you to the NK Musical Showroom, starring the Andrews Sisters. This is Harlow Wilcox inviting you to the informal opening of the West Coast branch of the showroom with the music of the Andrews Sisters, Kurt Massey, Vic Schoen and his orchestra, and in the Nash Kelvinator Green Room, tonight's guests, Abbott and Costello.
Somewhere in the cold, persistent rain that made the city itself seem a thing of evil, a girl had disappeared, and it was my job to find her. But before I did, I found death and a devil.
From the pen of Raymond Chandler, outstanding author of crime fiction, comes his most famous character as CBS presents The Adventures of Philip Marlowe.
tales of tomorrow. Tales beyond human imagination until they happen. Tales of Tomorrow, story number 4. The Other Now by Murray Leinster.
The Love and Abner Show on the air for Frigidaire. Frigidaire, a division of General Motors, presents a brand new comedy show starring Lum and Abner.
Murder Clinic. Stories of the world's great detectives of fiction. Men Against Murder. Each week at this time, WOR Mutual turns the spotlight on one of the great figures of crime detection and brings you his most exciting case. Tonight, Agatha Christie's unique detective Hercule Poirot in The Tragedy at Marsden Manor.
Here's adventure. Here's romance. Here's the famous Robin Hood of the Old West.
Cisco, the sheriff, he is getting closer.
This way, Pancho, vámonos. The Cisco Kid.
Speak for themselves. Shove ahoy, you lubbers!
All aboard for the transcribed premiere production, The Cruise of the Paul Parrot. This is a thrilling, exciting story of the sea, the vast, stormy sea, which will be a place of high adventure until the end of time. This adventurous story tells of the hardships and perils of whaling, the mystery of hunting for buried treasure, and the dangers of storms at sea and mutiny.
When the blue of the night meets the gold of the day, someone waits for me.
Yes, it's Bing Crosby and the Kraft Music Hall with John Scott Trotter and his orchestra, Eugenie Baird, the Charioteers, Charles Henderson and the Kraft Choir, and the popular and talented radio and screen star, Frank Sinatra. Ooh. Will you take it from there, Bing?
Wilco. Gonna dig a ditty with a dictionary flavor, Ken, called Accentuate the Positive.
Remember, a Hallmark card when you care enough to send the very best. Tonight from Hollywood, the makers of Hallmark greeting cards bring you Gregory Peck in Carl Sandburg's The Prairie Years on the Hallmark Playhouse. Each week, Hallmark will bring you Hollywood's greatest stars in outstanding stories chosen by one of the world's best-known authors, the distinguished novelist, Mr. James Hilton.
Suspense.
and women in the armed forces of the United Nations, the Special Service Division presents one of America's top spine tinglers. A radio program dedicated to the mysterious, the unusual, and sometimes the supernatural. A program of suspense.
For a breath that's sweet and a smile that dazzles, it's Colgate Tooth Powder. And for a riot of fun, it's the wistful, wacky, wonderful scatterbrain, Judy Canova.
Howdy, folks. Well, sir, I can't say welcome to Rancho Canova tonight because here I am a-setting in jail.
And now, the Mole Mystery Theater, presented by M-O-L-L-E. Mole, the heavier brushless shaving cream for tender skins.
Good evening. This is Jeffrey Barnes, welcoming you to the program that presents the best in mystery and detective fiction.
Tromer's White Label, the premium beer that is 2 ways light, presents Albert Mitchell's program, The Answer Man. The program that answers your questions just as Tromer's White Label answers America's demand for a lighter, finer, premium beer. The Answer Man is presented as a service to you, to give you the answers to your questions. And here he is, the Answer Man.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a nice Thanksgiving Day. And I believe you some questions about Thanksgiving there for me to answer.
Quite a few. Let's begin with this one from a Summit, New Jersey listener.
The Adventures of Father Brown. From the exciting pages of G.K. Chesterton comes the best-loved detective of them all, Father Brown, played by Carl Swenson. Now for tonight's adventures, The Mystified Mind.
The makers of Campbell Soups present The Campbell Playhouse. Orson Welles, producer.
No, stay where you are. Do not break the stillness of this moment. For this is a time of mystery, a time when imagination is free and moves forward swiftly, silently. This is The Haunting Hour.
The Couple Next Door, written by Peg Lynch and starring Peg Lynch and Alan Bunce.
International Silver Company presents The Silver Theater,
starring Joan Crawford in Train Ride, directed by Conrad Nagel. Brought to you on behalf of two of the greatest names in silverware, International Sterling, world-famous solid silver, and 1847 Rogers Brothers, America's finest silver plate.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Conrad Nagel greeting you from the stage of the Silver Theater in Hollywood and bringing you the 32nd in our new series of dramatic productions.
The Green Hornet. He hunts the biggest of all game, public enemies who try to destroy our America. His faithful valet Cato, Britt Reed, daring young publisher, matches wits with the underworld, risking his life that criminals and racketeers within the law may feel its weight by the sting of the Green Hornet. Ride with Britt Reed in the thrilling adventure, The Rodin Statue. The Green Hornet strikes again.
This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company. This is WJZ, New York's first station, AM and FM.